Professor Freud, sono il dottor Jung.
Io ho soltanto aperto una porta. Spetta ai giovani come lei attraversarla.
Ciao agli spettatori di Television Net.
E come sta la sua piccola paziente rossa?
C'è stato un miglioramento straordinario.
La ragazza è vergine?
Sicuramente.
It's the third time I get to work with David Cronenberg, which is a pleasure. You know, by now we know each other well. We have a good time working together. I trust him, he trusts me. I know he's going to be well prepared, and he knows I'm going to be well prepared, and that we're probably going to have fun along the way, which we did, making this movie, which sounds strange, you know, it's a sort of serious subject matter, but we had a good time. And I don't know, if another director had said to me, I want you to play Sigmund Freud at age 50, I would have said, you're crazy, I'm not the right actor. But if he says it, you kind of think it might work. You never know. To prepare to play Freud, I read as much as I could that he had written, reread things I'd written. I read all the things that I had read about him before, or that he'd written. I reread with a new point of view. Now it's not just seeing what he had to say, but imagining that I'm saying them. I read the many things I had not read about him. And I managed to go to Vienna a couple times before we started shooting to see where he lived, where he worked, where he walked around. Found in old bookshops the kind of books that he read, he was interested in. And went to where he was born in Czech Republic and where he died in London. All those sorts of things. But mainly I just worked on his speech, you know. I found descriptions of what his voice sounded like and the tone, you know, his sense of humor and all those things, and that's the part that was the biggest challenge for me, you know, is finding a way to handle all the dialogue, because usually I play parts that speak less. So much has been said today, and so much has been so clever, I haven't understood a word. Cronenberg as a kind of an example. He's not exactly like Freud probably was, but there's something about him that's, you know, he's very clever, very well educated, has a very dry sense of humor, sort of the way that Freud is described. So in a way I had a model, roughly speaking, right there in front of me.
And tell me something about the relationship between Jung and Freud.
Well, you know, it was a classic, I think in some ways, father-son dynamic, teacher-student. You know, very intelligent teacher, very intelligent student. So eventually there was some conflict when the student or the child feels he or she has to make their own way. Part of that process of finding their own identity involves rejecting the parent or the authority figure, and that's what happens. Unfortunately, we didn't see them grow back together, you know. That's the tragic part of the story. But what's sad about it, and interesting, dramatically speaking, is that really you're watching it as an audience and you realize that they're not so different in the way they're looking at things. It's really a personality conflict. It's an ego problem on both their parts. And to a degree, they're being childish about it, you know. And I think that's interesting.
And what about the physical transformation, your face?
Well, that was one of the things I did. I had a hard time believing at first, but once we started working on it, you know, I said, David, we got to change the color of my eyes for one thing, and face a little bit. Once we did those things with a makeup man named Stefan that I'd worked with before, he always works with Cronenberg, so I'd done Eastern Promises and History of Violence with him. He's very good, so once I got used to what we were going to do and the clothes, it helped. But the main thing was the speech, the language. I think actors need to have an identity crisis now and then. Every time they give you a job, you have one, like how am I going to do this? And every time they don't give you a job, you have one. So why can't I do this? I think if you get too comfortable as an actor, you won't do your best work. You won't challenge yourself. You know, you need to be a little scared, a little nervous to do a good job, I think.